Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Brunton Bugle for the new season. Yes, it's the summer update. It's the time to start talking about fixtures, new shirts, pre-season games, signings, which there haven't been any yet, of course, but we'll be doing that in the next few weeks. But as you've probably guessed already, the show's started without the theme this week, and that's because it's our sort of way of showing a mark of respect for some really sad news that we got this week, which was the passing of United's head of academy coaching, David Wilkes. Now, Dave wasn't just head of academy coaching at the club, he was part of the fabric of the club, as the article on the official website says, pretty much non-stop for the last 32 years or so, 33 years basically, bar a 7-year gap where he was, I think, at Newcastle and Huddersfield. And his passing was such a shock to a lot of people, and I think it's really hit the club really hard. It's such sad news. And I should say, Dan is here with me on the show today. Mike's not able to record because he's
Hi, Ron.
working.
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Dan, I mean, when the news broke the other day, it just such a shock, wasn't it? You know, only the age of 59 as well, to sadly hear of his passing.
Yeah, came as a great shock. I mean, as you've already said, Dave was involved in the club for roughly 30 years, barred a little break in the middle. And a lot of that is obviously with the academy and youth set-up training. You know, as we say, people forget he was actually joint sort of co-manager stroke coach at times, you know, manager. And I think he was coach under Nigel Pearson. And the one thing that's really, really struck me in following the breaking of this news is the sheer number of ex-players who've spoke up about him.
Yeah.
But by ex-players, I don't just mean obvious first-team players who knew him. I don't even just mean youngsters who made it and maybe drifted into non-league. Even lads who were like in the youth team and have drifted out the game. You know, it's incredible the number of folk who have, across social media. And I think that's testament to sort of the job he did at Carlisle in the youth department.
Absolutely. Just to give it a sort of little bit of a background history on Dave, because some of our young fans might not, know the face that well, because he was more working in the background these days. So Dave, he's Barnsley lad. He started his career at Barnsley in his hometown club. He only made 17 appearances and scored 2 goals. I think he had quite a bad injury when he was there that kind of sort of ended his sort of career as a full professional almost. He scored 2 on his debut though against Shrewsbury Town. I was actually looking on the bounty for him. Some of their fans were still talking quite fondly of him because I think they had like some phenomenal midfielders in the early 80s and he just couldn't break into the team back then. He actually had a 2-year spell living out in Hong Kong, which anyone who ever met Dave will know. He would tell you all about his time playing for Harps in Hong Kong, any opportunity he got. He then had a sort of spell at Stockport County and then sort of drifted into non-league football for 3 years with Frickley Athletic.
Just mentioning that Stockport, I saw a great little tale of Jeff Jackson, friend of the show. Everyone knows Jeff, the programme man. Dave Wilkes actually once asked him if he could help him track down a Stockport County programme because Dave Wilkes was on the action picture on the front, which were, programmes back then basically used one action picture a game. It was... I thought that was quite a touching little story, that.
Yeah, if you go on the official website, the club have put a nice little page of tributes from people across the club, and there's actually a picture. That picture of that programme is on there. I think Jeff sent it to them, didn't he? I think so they could use it. But Frickley Athletic and Bridlington Town, 2 Yorkshire clubs that he was involved in for 3 years. Frickley actually have tweeted as well, saying I think he was involved in their like Sheffield Cup win or something like that. They won the Sheffield Senior Cup or something like that, and very well remembered by their fans and their club. And then interestingly, he came to us in 1990, mostly to do, I think, something to do with the football in the community, wasn't it? And a little bit of that and a bit of the Centre of Excellence stuff. But he was also registered as a player, and he did actually make 5 first-team appearances during that 2-year spell.
Yeah.
Which kind of, you forget, it's like a little, the twilight of his playing career. He got that extra chance, didn't he? But from then onwards, he was involved in coaching mostly, and particularly, I think the spell we'll always remember is 92 through to like 97 when we'll talk about in a minute, he was a caretaker manager and director of coaching as well as part of that. Some of the talents that came through during that time, you sometimes forget just how good our youth setup was. And Dave was the one who was coaching them, wasn't he?
Yeah. we were sort of trying to put together a list, weren't we? And
Yeah.
when you look at it, it's and we are you reading this list out?
I'm going to read it out. Yeah, I need to dig it up. So you keep talking while I try and find it because I put it in a
Yeah,
group chat we're involved in
yeah,
somewhere.
and we were actually thinking, shit, we missed him. Bloody hell, what about him? And it's actually incredible the sheer volume of players that have passed through his guidance.
Yeah.
You know,
So I'll read it. I've found it now. Thank you for
yeah,
filling a bit of time for me there. I mean, these are just off the top of my head, and I'm sure I've missed probably some big ones that I definitely did because a few got brought up in the group chat we're in. So Matt Jansen and Rory Delap are two of the obvious ones. Scott Dobie, Paul Reed, Jared Branthwaite, Dean Henderson, obviously, in terms of his time this time round. James Trafford, who's playing for the England under-21s at the moment. Kyle Dempsey, Paul Boatine, Tony Craig. Owen Moxon was in the youth setup when he was there. Taylor Charters, Jack Ellis, Pat Brough, Danny Granger, I think, for a brief period there. Will Varty's another one. I mean, in terms of other ones, you've got people like, Dave Symington and Steve Swinglehurst, Lee Andrews. I mean, I think Potts and Gillespie had a little bit in terms of playing a little bit for the under-16s, I think, before they went straight into the youth team. I mean, that's just naming a few of the top friends. I'm sure I've missed some ones there. But,
definitely. We'll have missed plenty.
I mean, look at the ones who've gone on to play for Workington. I mean, Dabba Hewson, was Workington manager for a bit as well, alongside Lee Andrews. He was part of our youth setup, and he, will have come through under Wilkes as well. It's like you said. I think you're absolutely spot on. One of the key things when you look through all the comments on Facebook was actually the amount of parents as well will come on saying he was brilliant for my lad future. And these are lads who never made it. They've never gone even on to, your likes of Workington and even Penrith. Like you said, they've drifted out of the game. But he looked after them and he was always there to sort of helping hand to help those people. And it's a real testament to what a bloke he was. And like you said, he had that 2-year period when he was director of coaching, working under Knighton alongside John Halpin, which, was a thankless task for the pair of them and totally unfair for them to be put in that situation. But a lot of people talk about what good football we actually played at times in that period under them, don't they? We had some great plays, Nick Wright and Alan Smart and all kinds of plays like that, don't you? It's just absolutely incredible when you look back at some of those players we had. Unfortunately, also, he was involved in the Jimmy Glass day as well. He was an assistant manager under Nigel Pearson when he came in for his first job.
Yeah, Nigel Pearson actually posted on his socials earlier.
He did. It was a nice tribute, wasn't it? But yeah, so then he drifted out away from us. He was at a spell at Newcastle, I think some time at Gretna possibly as well, Huddersfield Town. But then he was brought back to the club in 2005 under Simo, because I think Simo basically just wanted to get good people back and involved with the club, didn't he, basically?
Yeah.
Like him and Halpin. He's been here ever since. And, I had 2 years working in the communications media team at Carl United, and I had to work a bit closely with Dave on a couple of occasions in terms of putting together the academy brochure each year. And genuinely, you'd not want to meet a more lovely fella. Genuinely really lovely fella, and it's really, really sad to pass away at such an early age. And like you said, all the tributes he's had in, even players like recent current players who you'd think probably wouldn't have that much of a connection with. I've seen like Martin Smith, Alex McQueen, Jamie Devitt's put a nice tribute because he used to be his neighbour as well, and people like that. It shows just what a big impact he made. And as we say, we pass on all our best wishes, don't we, to his family and friends, and at this really
obviously
tough time.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on. It's time now to talk about the news, Dan, that's come over the summer. So first up, did you want to start with kits?
Yeah, we'll do the kits. As I think, given the reaction in the last sort of, what is it? They've been out for. We're recording this on Friday, so they've been out a day.
Yeah, just over a full day.
Incredible. Yeah,
I mean,
incredible.
you've been by a couple of times by the club shop, and there's been queues around the corner, isn't there, to the ticket office?
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I drove past last night, as in Thursday, about 6 p.m.
Yeah,
and it was huge. A couple of mates messaged me 2.5 hours they waited. I think it was meant to shut at 8, but they actually stayed open to serve everyone. So credit to them for that.
Yeah.
I went past at 10:30 Friday morning, and it was round to the St John's ambulance bit by the paddock.
Wow.
It's just incredible.
It's amazing. It
was raining at 10:30 as well. So
yeah. So the new shirts are out. They were released on fixtures results day. This is a weird one because it's not, podcasts are not really a visual medium, are they? So we're going to sort of describe them to them. But let's start with the home kit. It's basically like a seat on the trains on the Northern Line, isn't it, of the Underground? But I just genuinely think it's one of the best kits we've had in years. So it's basically, for me, it's a cross between the 93 to 95 kit and the 92 to 93 kit, the home kit.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people basically say it's a 93 to 95, and I get that, but I think there is a slight nod to 92, 93 in it as well.
100%, definitely. So it's kind of these weird L shapes. I have to admit, when I first saw it on the little teaser video they put up just of the crest, I was a bit worried because, like, those little L shapes, if you put them in a certain way, it can look a bit dodgy. But thankfully, the pattern was done in a way that doesn't happen.
Are you on about a famous Fiorentina shirt of the 90s there?
Yes, I possibly am, maybe. That's one of the first customers was.
There was a Fiorentina kit came out in the 90s when 7-Up sponsored them, which was, a cool as F sponsor. Yeah. And halfway through the season, someone noticed that the actual pattern resembled sort of a World War II era
flag. Let's just put it that way, shall we? Anyway, thankfully it doesn't. The pattern is lovely. It's beautiful. It's the right shade of. Well, yeah, I think it's the right shade of blue. Mostly, would you agree?
Yeah, I've not seen it fully in the flesh yet. Some of the photos, the shorts looked slightly different, but that might be the lighting. So I'll reserve judgment on that. I'll just agree with. I heard Radio Cumbria, Paul Newton, saying he would prefer white shorts, and I think
100%.
I think I agree there, but I can put up with the blue ones, no bother at all.
It's not the worst thing in the world. It seems to be the theme that the club is sticking with now, blue shorts, which I prefer white shorts. I think they look nice, and I think it fit. I think then that gives you the option to go to blue shorts if you have a clash, doesn't it? That's the way I like to have the white shorts as the main one, but hey, that's the way. So it's blue with these sort of white line patterns, but little red triangles on it as well, isn't it? So it is like a bus seat basically, but it's a really nice looking bus seat. And
the thing that's really took me with it is it's sort of 90s retros a bit in at the moment, and the number of mainline sort of football accounts that got onto it. Classic football shirts are straight onto it. 442 went onto it.
Copper 90
went onto it.
Yeah,
2 or 3 others, and these are serious accounts. And I had mates messaging me yesterday when I shared it on my Instagram story, going, "Wow, what a kit!"
Yeah,
it's a bona fide cult classic coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It's genuinely. It's one of those ones where you should buy yourself one to wear, but then buy yourself one to keep bags because it'll be worth a few quid in a few years' time. I think there'll be a lot of them about, but I think to have one that's brand new in a few years' time will be like gold dust, basically. But genuinely, really lovely kit. I really like it. I think the design's nice. I think the sponsor looks good in it. It doesn't, that's what I should say. Actually, Bimson and Story Homes on the back both signed up for another season, which is good news as well. I like it when we stick with sponsors. We're not flitting between them all the time. But yeah, I think it looks really nice. The only issue is it looks like the badge is one of those iron-on or whatever it is ones, and I think the Umbro logo is also like a sticker one, but I'm being picky. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think, look, if you're that bothered, get your mum to stitch it so it doesn't come off. That's the suggestion I'd make. But yeah, I think it's such a smart kit. I think I've had so many mates who aren't Carlisle fans message me saying that kit's so nice. I wish our kit was that,
Oh yeah. Which London Underground line did you say?
Did you say the Northern? I think you sent it in a group chat.
No, you said the Northern. It's the Piccadilly.
Piccadilly, correct. I do apologise.
Because the Northern's the black line.
Yes, it's the Piccadilly one.
It's the blue line.
Yeah. It's a bit like the Man United kit, the Man United blue away kit of the early 90s, isn't it? I think, really. They added that.
Yeah.
Slightly, not quite, but it's slightly like that anyway.
Yeah.
But that's proved really popular. Well, let's get on to it then. The away kit. Wow. I mean, up the Bertie Bassett blues, up the Fruit Salad blues, up the Blackjack blues. It's just mental, isn't it? I don't even know how to describe. So I've heard someone describe it. It's like the camo that you get on Call of Duty, but the camo happens to be black, yellow, and pink.
Yeah. It's also got cult classic status incoming, 100%. But for a different reason. Because it's just so out there.
It's absolutely honking, but in a good way. And some people don't seem to grasp it. You can have a kit that's a bit extravagant and a bit honking, but can still be a good kit. It can still be a really good kit. Yeah. And for me, it'll probably help if you have a good team playing in it. But for me, looking at it, I'm thinking, yeah, that's going to be a classic. I'm going to buy one. And I didn't bother buying last year's. I'm 100% buying it this year.
I haven't bought a home shirt for years, apart from to the lad.
Yeah.
I'll be buying both of these.
Yeah. They're proper.
And there's a lot of people have said similar.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Yeah. Apparently the players aren't too impressed with the away kit, but I'm sure they'll get used to it quickly enough. And people say like, oh, it's not like the deck chair. The deck chair was a classic. I'm sure there was plenty of people when the deck chair came out because you didn't have social media that then you didn't know. Went, God, that's bloody horrible, that kit. I mean, a lot of kids were like that back then anyway. But a lot of people, a lot of opposition fans think that deck chair kit's terrible. We all think it's great.
Yeah.
So that shows the difference, doesn't it? So yeah, it's proved really popular. It's selling massively. I genuinely think it's probably going to be... I know there was talk that apparently last season's kit was our most popular ever. This is going to blow out the water for me.
Yeah.
100%.
Especially, like I say, that you can see hipsters and kit enthusiasts buying it as well.
Yeah. And we should say the new Blue store is live, and it looks a massive improvement on the previous one.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I know that I won't mention his name because he doesn't want much fanfare, but
we both don't, don't we?
The lad. Yeah, and I basically put him in touch with the club and encouraged them to work together, and it's a massive improvement.
Yeah.
There'll be a couple of teething problems if anyone says, "Oh, I couldn't do this, I couldn't that." They've just updated something that hasn't been updated for a decade or so.
Well, you say that 100%. I was the last one to do the proper a full upgrade at least on it anyway. So I know for a fact that it's been a while in the coming. The problem is you've got to do the point of sale stuff, the back of house stuff as well at the same time if you're going to really upgrade it, which it looks like they've done. And yeah, the positive is if you've got that. And there's some nice little bits in it, some nice retro swim shorts as well as on there as well if anyone's interested. So go and have a look, get yourself on the website, spend all your money for the summer as well on there, and that'll really help the club. But yeah, fantastic. So that's a new kit covered, I think. Yeah, would you say?
Yeah,
I think we're pretty much covered off. No goalkeeper kits yet. We haven't seen them. They're coming next month apparently. So any fans of Tomasz, and we know there are several people who are very big fans of Tomasz who listen to this show, you'll get to see him in it next month in July. So there you go. Right, fixtures time. What do you want to start with, pre-season or full fixtures?
Do the main ones.
Yeah, okay. So main ones first. Right. It seems weird talking about fixtures, doesn't it, for 5 or 10 minutes, but that's what we're going to do. So yeah, fixtures are out. Key ones. I'm just trying to load up the page here. We haven't fully prepared for this episode, if I'm honest, because like we moved it last minute, and we were going to do it yesterday, but when the news broke, we didn't quite feel appropriate, did it, to do it then? That's why we sort of delayed it coming out. Yes, so key fixtures wise, starting off, Fleetwood Town at home, Dan. What do you think of that?
Yeah, very winnable first game, brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean they're in a little bit of disarray off the field at the moment, aren't they? Obviously, their owner has been a naughty boy. We won't really go into too much detail on that. But
I would suggest a little bit is probably the understatement of the season so far.
All I'll say is go and look up Fleetwood Town owner on Google and find out for yourselves. We're not going to go into details on it, but yeah, because I mean, look, they've been heavily backed by him for years, haven't they? And if he's not going to be involved as much anymore, that begs the question: where does the money come from? Because
who is?
They don't get big crowds, so could be a really, really tough season for them. So actually, of all the existing League One teams to face at home, if I had to pick one, I probably would have said, yeah, that'll do me. To be honest, I'd have been happy with that. So we start off with Fleetwood at home. Home game's always good to start, though, isn't it? To be fair, first away game. It's our first trip for a few years to the Kassam Stadium, Oxford United. Yeah. Former club of, not the former ground of, obviously, because it was built well after he played there, of our boss Paul Simpson. He's a bit of a legend down there, isn't he, actually? Yeah. So I know the guys on the D3, D4 podcast, one of the guys, James, he always wax lyrical about Paul Simpson, obviously, and the fact that he was such a great player for them. So that'll be a nice little return for him. Interesting one, that, isn't it, really? Because they had a few seasons where they were doing very good under Carl Robinson. They struggled last season. So going there.
They've made a couple of good signings this summer, though.
Well, they signed the lad from Notts County. What's his name?
Yeah. Is it Ruben Rodriguez or something like that?
That's the one. They've definitely signed him. I'm sure they've signed someone else as well. So
was it not McEachran?
Possibly. Is that the lad who was at Swindon? Yeah. It might have been him.
I think it was MK.
MK, right? Okay, maybe the other one then possibly. Yeah, I think you might be right on that one. But yeah, so that's the initial start, and then I won't go too much into the rest of August, but we'll talk about the second home game, Dan, because that's a biggie, isn't it? Tuesday night under the light. Well, probably not under the lights because it'll still be bright for most of it. Our good friends from Wigan, from down the M6, are coming up for the game, aren't they?
Yeah,
I don't think some of our fans realise how big a game that's going to be, do they?
Carlisle Wigan in the 90s was massive. I mean, some of you younger lot who think Hartlepool's a derby, nothing on Wigan. I mean, it probably won't be now because it's a new generation, but it used to be crazy when we played Wigan.
I think it'll bring a few of the old school loons out there in that game. I think, especially if it's August, and it's a Tuesday night, but it's August, so you can't get back after the game on the train. Sadly, I mean, it's almost one of the ones. Look, I'd kind of hope they'd do the same favour for us at Christmas because we'll talk about that one in a minute. But I kind of think why don't we just make it a 7 o'clock kickoff and let them get as many up as they can, get a good atmosphere, a good crowd on the train and stuff. Because you can still do it by train if you come on if it's a 7 o'clock kickoff. Especially because it's in the summer as well. It's a bit more easy. But I was looking, we've only played them 17 times. We're going to play.
And most of them were in the Cup.
Well, not just that. One of them was in 1934 in the FA Cup. We lost 6-1 against them. But actually, you look down, mostly, you're right. It's been in the FA Cup, actually. We haven't, league-wise, we've only played them. I'm going to quickly count the top end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10 times in the league. There's 7 of them have been in cups, 2 in the auto windscreens.
Well, in the 90s, we were glued together in the FA Cup for a couple of years.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
My first ever away game was the 2-0 defeat at Wigan in the Cup. Yeah,
that was in 1989, was it?
Yeah.
December, yep. Just I've got the heads up here, so that's why I'm looking at it. Anyway, so that's the bit of August covered off. Into September, you've got Derby County at home on Saturday the 23rd of September. That's not a bad one to have, is it, really? Unfortunately, I thought that might be during the international weekend and maybe we get it live on Sky, but actually it's not. I've looked at our fixtures during the international breaks are not exciting ones. Stevenage, I think Orient, possibly.
Not to accuse the EFL of match fixing, but it was noticeable in League Two that Wrexham host Salford in the October window.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? Very funny indeed. So Derby County home, Saturday 23rd. That's a belting one, isn't it? Really? That's one to really look forward to. Bolton away.
There's only one game stands out in October.
Bolton away.
Bolton away.
It's a cracker,
what a
isn't
great
it?
Game that is.
Cracker.
We'll take loads there.
Not too late in the thing. I reckon we could we'll easily take 2,500 there, surely. Especially if we get a good start as well. There's every chance we'll take a nice big following for that one. So that's one really to look forward to. Looking back down through into November, you've got Charlton at home. Barnsley away, actually, yeah. Barnsley away is a good one in November.
And I'm in Tenerife. I'm going to miss Barnsley again.
Typical that. I've been to it. Doesn't matter too much to me.
But I'm back in time for Reading away on Tuesday night.
Are you doing that one? Because that's a mad one.
Yes. Yeah, already booked my leave off work because I'm meant to be working that day.
Oh, we always knew that was going to be a ridiculous one, didn't we?
I actually put it on Twitter when they got relegated. I said, you just know Reading away will be Tuesday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And then looking into December. December's a crazy month, isn't it? Not only have you got the second round of the FA Cup potentially at the start of the month, Blackpool away on Saturday the 9th, Fleetwood away on Boxing Day, and Wigan away on Friday the 29th of December.
I put in one of our group chats today the attendance is for away fans, the allocations. There's 2 grounds we may struggle at. Fleetwood is the obvious one because you only get 1,100. And the other one is actually, I forgot to say it earlier, Oxford. You only get 1,400 at Oxford.
I think they can extend. I think they can extend that though. I have a feeling they can extend that.
It's going to be their first home game as well, though, isn't it?
Possibly. I don't think they get that close to selling out. I might be wrong on that, possibly, but there you go. Wigan, annoyingly Friday the 29th rather than if it was Boxing Day, it'd be better. But Friday 29th, you can't even get the train back afterwards at the moment. If they moved it to a 7 o'clock kickoff, it'd be tight. But yeah.
The campaign has begun to move it to a 7. Crew got a 7 o'clock last year. And you still couldn't get back by train.
Exactly, whereas you can for this one. So I think that kind of makes sense.
Currently, it's 21:28 the last train.
Yeah.
So if it was a 7 o'clock kickoff, finish at 5 to, you've got half an hour. It's about 20-minute walk to the ground from
Exactly.
the station.
Exactly. New Year's Day, Port Vale at home. It's not a very exciting one, is it? With all the greatest respect to Port Vale, it's not slagging them off. I'm sure they're the same, thinking, bloody hell, go to Carlisle on New Year's Day. Not much fun, is it? Just before my birthday, Saturday the 3rd of February, we're away at Leighton Orient. A nice little trip to London. That'd be lovely.
I was just... One you've missed there, Exeter away on the 6th. Could end up being a Tuesday night if either team gets through in the FA Cup. Frustratingly,
yeah. Day before Valentine's Day, we're away at Burton on a Tuesday night as well. Again, every single time we go there, it seems to be, doesn't it? Through into March, we've got Reading at home at the start of March. A nice trip to Charlton as well in March as well. The trip to Shrewsbury, I'm looking forward to that one because I haven't done that for a while. Easter weekend fixtures, away at Peterborough on the Good Friday, which suits me because I've never been to Peterborough, so I need to tick it off.
I mean that.
No, it's Wigan and Peterborough, the only two in League One that I've not done. So looking forward to completing the set this season. I have to wait till later on the season.
Have you been to Reading?
Yeah. I went to watch Reading against Leeds randomly. I was living down there at the time, weirdly enough. So
yes, that's right. I remember now. Yeah,
a freebie ticket I got off someone. Lincoln at home on Easter Monday, and then we finished the season with. It's a tough end to the season, actually. I think in terms of when you look at the fixtures, the last three. Blackpool at home. You'd imagine Blackpool are going to be decent this season. Wickham at home, who've been very good over the last few years. And then Derby County away. When was the last time we played Derby on the last day of the season? 1975. They were title winners. We were relegated, but we won. So hopefully not the relegation bit, but maybe we can get the win maybe and spoil a title play for them.
We didn't lose to Derby, who won the league, and we didn't lose to Everton, who finished second.
We cost Everton the title, basically, didn't we? So there you go. So that's it in terms of fixtures. We just had a little look through that. I've got no major issues, just some of the Tuesday nights are a bit annoying, and Wigan being on that Friday after Christmas is annoying me a little bit, but bar that, I'm reasonably happy with them. Are you?
Yeah.
Fixtures.
I mean, at the end of the day, you play every team twice over the way, but there's always certain ones you look for. I mean, mine were sort of Wigan, because I've not done the DW Stadium, Barnsley, which annoyingly I'll miss, and Reading. They were the ones that stood out for me. So, yeah.
Spot on. Let's talk about the cup draw as well, shall we, Dan? Not the cup we don't want to talk about, although we might kind of have to slightly reference it in a sec. The Carabao Cup. So we're sitting there watching it the other day, all these numbers coming out and waiting for Middlesbrough away or West Brom away or Stoke away. I think they're the three that we wanted, weren't they, really?
I think I said West Brom, Stoke or Hull would have done me because, the ground,
Hull
decent
as well,
grounds.
Yes. Never been yet, so they're the ones that we were looking at. And then I think I can't remember which number it was, might be number 15, comes out. Harrogate Town are at home, and you're like, no. With number 9, Carlisle United.
And as we alluded to a minute ago, the day before, we found out we were put in the trophy group with Accrington and Harrogate. And this is the only time we'll properly mention it, but the under-21 team we got was Notts Forest.
Just see if Finn Back comes back, or he'll be playing against them. Maybe you'll have to say. Well, he would be able to. I presume he would.
Speaking of EFL and fixing things, ironic that Man United landed in the pot with Bolton, Stockport, and Salford this time.
Yeah, it's funny, that isn't it? And it's funny, isn't it? How Wrexham v Wigan has been picked as one of the live ties, isn't it? For first round.
That.
On the thing, you wouldn't see that come, would you? I'm not suggesting Harrogate v Carlisle's more glamorous and should be shown, but there you go. I mean, we got promoted to get away from Harrogate, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And we're playing them twice in the Cups, for God's sake. Just watch the FA Cup draw. Just you watch. It's happening. We are drawing them in the first round of the FA Cup as well. I'm putting it out there right now. Oh, typical. But that's the Tuesday just after the first home game, isn't it? Harrogate away. I'll probably do it just because it's relatively easy to get to and take another one off. But there you go. That's fixtures done then, Dan, isn't it, really? I mean, it's fixtures, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not much more to say than that, really, I suppose, at the moment.
We'll quickly mention the pre-seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too much. Annan away Friday night.
That's a nice one. We never want to play them for a long time, have we?
Workington.
Yeah.
You
missed one. You've missed Gretna. So basically, I'll go through them.
Gretna.
I've got the list up here.
Yeah,
So
Gretna.
Friday,
in the middle.
Friday the 7th, we're away at Annan, which is 7:45 kickoff. I think you can get tickets on Annan's website already. I think that'll be a sellout, I'd imagine, wouldn't it, really? Because there'll be a lot of fans will just travel over the border to tick a ground off as well. Tuesday the 11th of July, we play Gretna. I think it's the first time we played Gretna in a proper pre-season friendly for probably about pushing on 20 years, I think. We used to play them. While. I don't think we played them when they moved to Scotland, did we? I think no. When they initially moved to Scotland, maybe, but we used to mainly play them when they were in the Unibond League, didn't we? Back in the day.
I think it's probably a thank you for we use their pitch for training a lot when the weather's bad.
Yeah, and looking after Lewis Bell last season as well, maybe a little bit that too. So yeah, it's unusual. 2 Scottish clubs, and both of them have got plastic pitches, so it's interesting way to start the season. And then, as you mentioned, Saturday the 15th of July, we're away at Workington. That should be a good test because they've
I'll just add, while we're mentioning the local ones, a couple of folk have asked why Penrith are not there. Penrith are getting a 4G pitch put down. Yes. And if you look at their fixtures, the first 8 games are all away in the league.
Yes, because they're playing away at Workington, aren't they, in a pre-season friendly too? I think.
Yeah, and they've drawn Carlisle City in one of the cups at home, but it might have to get switched to Carlisle City in the League Cup, I think it was.
Yeah, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But there you go. Yes, so Workington away on Saturday the 15th, then jump forward. I'm guessing there's probably going to be a training camp somewhere in the middle of this, isn't there? And I'd imagine
Possibly.
They'll probably play a behind closed doors game in the middle of that. They usually do. Saturday the 22nd of July, Newcastle under 21s at Gateshead.
Yeah.
And anyone who's been to Gateshead, it's not a great place to go and watch football, is it?
No.
To put it bluntly.
Also, there's a train strike being announced for that day.
Yes.
So
it's a 2 p.m. kickoff, that as well, I should note. So it's a little bit earlier. But yeah, so we're playing Newcastle under 21s over at Gateshead. Maybe we're looking to use it as an opportunity to look at some of their young players potentially we could take on loan next season, maybe. Maybe not the worst idea in the world. And then we finish off with the one home friendly we've got, Saturday the 29th of July, Dundee United at home. It's kind of annoying because I would have liked to have gone up to Dundee. That would have been a really belting trip to do Tannadice, wouldn't it? Frustrating that.
It's like we've mentioned before, Scottish League Cup is now played in July in groups. So once they do the draw for that, every team gets either a blank Tuesday or Saturday. So we've obviously waited till it's drawn. Dundee United's fixtures have come out. They've been spare, so we've approached them. So
But there you go. I don't know if they'll announce any more on top of that. We're not playing Kendal this season, which is a little bit of a shame. I'm not sure what's going on there, but maybe, to be honest, they're a bit of a lower standard now, aren't they, Kendal? So maybe that's got something lower to do.
They've had a lot of off-field stuff the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, it's been quite a challenge to them, isn't it? I think it's fair to say, but there you go.
The clubhouse is full of Preston stuff anyway, so...
It is, you know, it's all Tom Finney's. It's weird for Kendal, isn't it? Because it's Cumbria, but it's Westmoreland, though, isn't it, really? So it's they're kind of people there stuck between feeling like they're Cumbria to feel like they're Lancashire.
There's a bit of a split in the town as well.
Yeah.
Because I know loads of decent lads from Kendal who follow Carlisle.
Yeah.
But there's also quite a few follow Preston.
Yeah, there's a real mix, isn't there, really? And
if you think about it, Oxenholme is pretty much bang in the middle on the train for both.
Because you think just because it's in the same county they will, but it's not necessarily the case, is it?
No.
I mean, it's similar to the fact that there's quite a few Scottish fans across the border who'll come and watch Carlisle.
Oh,
so there you go. Right, I think that's it. I don't think there's any other news, really. So there's been no signings made off. Taylor Charles has signed his new deal, which is good news.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting on Feeney and Patrick confirming. It doesn't look like Feeney's going to stay, does it, I think?
The whispers suggest Patrick may stay, Feeney will be away.
Yeah, that's the suggestion.
I would like to think that'll be sorted by pre-season training on Wednesday.
I would imagine we'll get a few names announced on Wednesday, possibly. There you
go. Quickly, apparently Simo at the breakfast for the fixtures hope to have 3 signings in for pre-season on Wednesday.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll be good to see, at least, anyway. So there you go. I imagine it's going to be a very busy few weeks anyway after that. So there you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, I think that's it then, Dan, isn't it? I don't think there's huge much else to cover. We'll be back. Go on.
We're rolling the X-Blues over until the next one.
Yeah, so we can get them all together because there's quite a few in there.
We're probably going to do one in a couple of weeks' time for the start of the friendlies.
Yeah, we'll have to do one. We'll be doing one, I think, maybe possibly the Monday before the Annan friendly because I'm away for that friendly, so I'm not going to be able to do one like just before it. It'll have to be like a few days before, so we'll sort it out. But yeah, that's it. So thanks everyone for listening. Really appreciate your support over last season and into this season. And I've got to say a big thank you as well again to the London branch. I should have said this at the start, obviously, in terms of doing the episode differently, didn't get a chance, but they've agreed to sponsor us again for next season, which is hugely appreciated. So thank you very much to those guys.
Cheers, fellas.
So that's it. Thanks everyone for listening, and up the Blues.
Up the Blues.